I'm a sales manager. We suddenly lost a major account to one of our competitors without any notice. I would like to win them back and understand why they chose to leave. What do you suggest?
Believe it or not, this is not really a problem at all. It is one of the reasons why people call me in to help them develop their sales to the next level, because you see, attrition is a symptom, it's not a problem. Whether it's internal attrition or external attrition, it's always a symptom. It's a symptom that something is going wrong somewhere, and if we don't fix it or address it now, it may continue to bug us and cost us sales. Many people spend their lives complaining about the symptoms without ever addressing the problems. We do that at New Year's. I want to have more energy. I want to feel better. I want to lose weight. But those are just symptoms. The problem is the way we eat and the way we exercise. So in this video, we're going to find out where the problem is and how we can address it. Is the problem in the industry? Is this an industry issue, or is this an organizational issue? And then finally, is it an individual issue? You see, whenever a customer goes away, whenever a buyer relationship is broken, we typically point to the salespeople, and that's usually a good place to start. But it's better if we start at the top and work our way down. Is this an industry issue? In the late 70s, Ford, General Motors, and Chrysler started losing market share. They couldn't make sales like they did before. And the reason was Toyota and Honda. It was an industry issue about quality and features. Is it an organizational issue? A medical device company asked me to come train their salespeople, and I learned that everyone in their industry almost was using a new technology they refused to use. And when I probed, it was because the board of directors thought it was a fad. It was not a trend. It was not something that was changing. And maybe it really is the salesperson. So let's dig down and see what we can find. Relationship selling is a redundant term or phrase. All selling is relationship selling. What is the relationship built on? If we build the relationship on price, we'll lose it on price. If we build it on features and benefits, we'll lose it when somebody has better features and benefits. Because you see, companies don't do business with companies. People do business with people. So let's dig in and see if we can find out what's going on when that buyer left us. This is called the leaky bucket issue. We have water coming in the top and going out the bottom. How do we stop the leaks? If we're losing a significant number of users, can we make enough sales and bring in enough new business to replace it? Probably not, but even if we did, we would have to subtract customer acquisition costs. They would be less profitable. So let's look at this response or this question that the gentleman is asking. What do you suggest me lose an account? Where's the problem? Let's begin with the industry. Is it my industry? Do we have dated technology? Are there other people out there capable of doing what we did with a different technology? We went from 8-track tapes to cassette tapes, different technology. From cassettes to CDs, different technology. From CDs to internal memory. So now we look at it and say, is there a technology out there that's replacing us? And in the AI era, that's happening frequently. Do we have a dated design? Does our product or service come across as old or dated? Is it not as sharp and attractive as what's out there against us? What about our reputation? We can't do a whole lot to control our reputation unless we're doing some things to boost it on a regular basis. What are people saying about us? What's out on social media? And then, are there new competitive alternatives that we are unaware of? AI can help us find those. What if a customer says, I would like to do what your company does, but I'd like to do it in a different way, and went and asked AI? What would AI tell them? Well, why don't you ask AI that question and see what you could learn? Well, if it is my industry, one thing you want to look at is, are you already engaged in your industry? That is, are you actively engaged? Do you go to the conferences and workshops? Do you go to the trade shows to see what's new and happening in the industry? And maybe you could be reading their publications more and more frequently. And this would tell you if it's really an industry issue. If others in my industry are succeeding and I'm falling behind, maybe I need to look at the industry differently and see what I can learn. So are you keeping up? There's reluctance to change and difficulty changing. And each of those could stop us from moving forward and making the necessary changes to improve our attrition rate. Now, what about my organization? Is that the problem? Is our product still valid? Do we have a valid differentiation? Yes, we've always done what we've done very well, and our quality has always been high, but are there others who are doing better? What differentiation does our competitor have that drew this buyer away from us? Was it the salesperson or was it the product or service? And does our service level, even if we sell a product, if our service level does not meet or exceed, not industry standards, but buyer expectations? If our product or service does not meet or exceed their expectations, that could be the issue. And what about our processes? Are we keeping up? Are we going to the next level? I enjoyed during the lean era, the Kaizen era, where we were able to go in and see minute ways that we could improve our businesses and they would bring great results. That's what we want to look for. And then do we have a performance match that we need to look at? Is it our performance itself that's hurting our reputation? If it's my organization, most likely it's a leadership issue. So what could the leadership team be doing to help us around that? Primarily communications. Communications is at the root of almost every problem, so we want to look at internal and external communication. How good are we communicating internally? What are our processes and how have we improved them? And how good are we at getting real information from the field, from our customers, from our buyers, from the marketplace? So what if it turns out it really is the individual? Well, what are we doing to continuously develop and enhance each customer-facing employee? That would be sales, of course, and customer service, and technicians, anyone that engages the customer. What are we doing to continuously improve their skills? And do we have the right strategy for our salespeople? The strategy that we've used for 10 years has worked very well. Maybe it's time to revisit that and think in different terms. And what about compensation? My people will live up to or down to their perception of my expectations, and quite often compensation communicates to them what I expect from them. And then are we giving them the latest tools they could be using, hardware and software and tools? Well, let's dig in a little deeper. If it really is the individual, then what can we do about development, strategy, compensation, and tools? Well, development, there's another video on this channel, but how we go about developing all of our employees, but especially those that are customer-facing, in 15 minutes once a week. That's for the whole team. But sales development for individuals needs to be an ongoing process. There is so much training online right now. There is no excuse for not developing our sales skills and taking them to the next level on a regular basis. And what about your strategy? Is it time to revisit how you allocate your resources? Maybe you use account and territory assignments differently, and maybe you look at the skills of each of your salespeople. Are they builders versus runners, or farmers versus hunters? Are they in the right place? If we have somebody that's really good at building relationships, but they're being compensated on new business, maybe we need to rethink that and model our sales plan differently. For years, I've been saying no more annual compensation plans. It's too easy now with computers and AI and other tools to revamp the comp plan on a regular basis. And in fact, if your salespeople aren't saying, here we go again, you may not be changing your compensation plan often enough. Now think about it. In the fourth quarter of one year, we develop a compensation plan that's supposed to extend through 12 months of the next year. Well, what if things change? What if COVID comes along again and we're all sequestered in our homes? Well, the compensation plan has to be revisited, has to be revised. Your customers are changing, your markets are changing, your competitors are changing, technology is changing. We can't develop compensation plans for salespeople that we think are going to last as long as they used to. And is it based on your current expectations? Is it based on your current expectations? When AI comes in and changes a competitor significantly, in order to respond to that competitor, maybe we need to concentrate on other areas and move our spiffs or move our best compensation programs to another area. Any compensation plan needs to have the opportunity for higher incentives. Now, we know that once a salesperson reaches 100% of quota, anything over that should be compensated at a higher level. But what about other incentives? And they don't have to be dollar incentives. They can be status. They can be a parking space in the parking lot. What are we doing to incentivize our salespeople to keep going to the next level? And what tools do our salespeople have today they did not have last year? Devices. Tablets are old hat now. There's so many new devices they could be using. And of course, all of them have a smartphone and a computer of some sort. And what about calculators and configurators, those apps that go inside these devices? What are we giving our salespeople to help them sell at a next level? So when we look at the universal answers, what is the universal answer to attrition with clients? Number one, measure everything and do it frequently. Measure everything and do it frequently. If you'd like to know how to measure something you've never measured before, who can help? AI, of course. And you can use AI for categories and standards that you need to be measuring. What are some things you should be looking at that you're not? What are some KPIs that you've not used before? CQI, continuous quality improvement, and I see that happening every 3 sales cycles. If your sales cycle is 30 days, then you could update it every 90 days and look at what's happening in the market and the industry, what changes are going on. If your sales cycle is 60 days, you'd want to stretch it out a bit. Update strategic and sales plans frequently. Now, strategic planning, we know in public companies, has to stick to the mold because they've made commitments to Wall Street. But in your organization, is it time to revisit the strategic plan before the end of the year? And when you do, what about the sales plans? We need to stay agile. We need to stay flexible. Review your sales positioning, tools, and media, etc. Everything your salespeople are using, everything your customers and buyers are seeing needs to be reviewed on a regular basis. And then report card sessions. A report card session is when we don't have an agenda. We're honestly there to gather information. We sit down with the buyer and say, I have nothing to sell you today. We tell them that when we set the appointment. I'd just like to come out and get your input on a couple of items. I need 20 minutes of your time or 15 minutes of your time. And you ask them, what are things we're doing great? What are we doing wrong? How could we improve? You know, our company is just like yours. We're trying to be better for our buyers, and I want to make sure that we're doing everything that we could to appeal to buyers like you. So you do the report card session, and if you do it right, they will open up. We use open-ended and closed-ended questions and elicitation statements. You want to do this internally. You might want to consider having a digital suggestion box like we had back in the old days so that people can anonymously say, here's something I wish we had. Here's something I wish we could do. And if you're getting a lot of anonymous ideas, it's an indication that communication in the organization is broken. And of course, with external customers, we use the report card session to find out what we could be doing for them to help us go to the next level. What about the win back? We haven't forgotten that. Hey, we lost this account. What are we going to do to get it back? Well, for me, it always begins with the report card session. And a report card session needs to have the same intense pre-call planning as a sales call would. What do you know about their industry and the changes there? What do you know about their market and the changes? What do you know about their buyers and the changes? So that you can go in and have a fresh conversation with the buyer that left you. And show appreciation. These people are taking time out of their day to help you understand. Let them know you're really grateful for it and you don't really have a hidden agenda at the moment. Downplay the desire to win back. This is not about winning back. This is about them helping you help companies like them be more successful. Single most important function of sales is to teach. We're supposed to be helping buyers. And then think about drip marketing, but drip informational marketing. Typically, drip marketing is constantly going back to the buyer and showing them more reasons to do business with us. Well, in this case, we want to do drip informational marketing, where we send them pertinent and valuable information. It's articles that you've read. It's what you're picking up from the marketplace. It's what AI is teaching you about their market and their industry. And then, of course, check in whenever it's appropriate. Don't inundate the buyer, but check in when it's appropriate. And remember, when you learn how to do these things better, teach others.